Over the years, the issue of rape has been constantly discussed. But can this issue be overflowed? The answer is no. Welcome to Mata Africa, the program where we discuss key issues pertaining to women and children. And on today's episode, we will be talking about rape. I am Patience Ekonohe Daniels, and with me in the studio this morning is Amina Omaru Nyango. Amina is a legal practitioner and a social media influencer. She has over the years been lending her voice to issues pertaining to women and children. Amina, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, what according to you is rape?
Oh, well. Let me use the definition by law. Rape is having sexual intercourse without consent. The key word being without consent, or if the consent is obtained inappropriately, maybe by threats or intimidation. That way. So basically, rape is having sexual intercourse without consent from the other person.
Okay. And at what stage can we separate sex from rape?
Wow. Well, that's a very tricky question because we've been having this particular discussion for years and years. But basically, when consent is removed from a from sexual intercourse, from a sexual meeting, that from that point afterwards, when the person says no, anything after that is rape. So you could be with someone and you're in the mood, the person accepts or shows you she is or he is open to the act. But at the point the person changes his or her mind. Remember, I'm saying his or her mind because the common misconception is that only women are raped. So at the point the person changes his or her mind, anything afterwards is rape. Yes.
So, what are the rules to success then?
Well, the basic rule is make sure the person you're having sex with agrees to have sex with you. That's the basic thing. And make sure the person is, grounded enough to know that, yes, we are having sex and it is mutual. Make sure it is a mutually acceptable thing. Don't just assume that, the person, it's me, it's sex, nobody can turn me down, or things like that. We hear things like that. And also, recently, there was this discussion on if people should seek written consent. I think it's ridiculous though, but it seems the world is getting towards that because of the many cases of people being accused wrongly of rape. But then I need to add something. The cases of rape, actual rape, and those of false accusation are actually, the ones of actual rape are much more than, in every 100% of rape accusation, only about 1% are actually false accusations. So we also need to take that into consideration. It is a serious problem, but in the wider scheme of things, rape is actually more serious than getting accused.
In Nigeria, Is there a legal age where a girl or a guy can, or a boy should attain before, or let's say a legal age to have sex in Nigeria, where every other sexual rules stops on or something? Is there a legal age?
That's a very tricky question because more kids are having sex these days. Parents don't want to hear it, but it is what is happening. Children, teenagers are experimenting with themselves. But I think what you're trying to ask is if, when it comes to adults and maybe teenagers and children, yes, the law under the Penal Act, which is Penal Code, sorry, which is the law that the criminal law in northern Nigeria, any sex with anyone under the age of 14 is considered rape, whether the person gave consent. The basic is that anybody under 14 cannot give consent. So any sexual act to somebody under 14 is considered rape. In the South, which is governed by the criminal code, it's 16. So you can say the legal age for sexual intercourse in Nigeria is probably 16. But you need to consider the fact that children, teenagers are having sex with themselves. So that too should come into consideration. But when it comes to rape, an adult that has sexual intercourse with anybody below the age of 14 in the north and 16 in the south is liable for rape, even if the person said yes, it is rape because it's considered that a child cannot give consent under the law.
Okay. Let's move on to molestation and sex with minors. Some time ago, I was opportunity to talk to a Muslim cleric. So we discussed this sex with minors. We talked about rape, sex with minors, and all that. So I brought in this issue of child bride in the north, and I asked of his opinion on it, and he said in Islam that the type a girl is formally ripe for marriage immediately once she's started her menstrual period. And recently we seen women, little girls, saying the menstrual period from 8, 9. Personally, I started before I turned 9, and we've had issues of little babies also menstruating even before that age. I think the first woman to give birth, the youngest woman to give birth in the world is 5 years, one woman from India. So considering that statement that I am not versed in Quran, and considering what he said, like the right age in Islam to actually get married is once the lady starts menstruating, which can come either before 7, 8, 9, and in law, the consensual age for sex is 14. So how do we bring this in? Because I think these are minors. How do we bring this in?
I do not like talking about things when it comes to religion because the thing with Nigerians and religion is we get blinded when we presume people are attacking our beliefs. I think any religious practice that actually encourages child marriage and underage sexual relations should need to question the provisions of that religion or whatever. It doesn't make sense. A child should remain a child. A child shouldn't be getting married. We shouldn't be having sex with children and all. And it also shows how inherently unjust Nigeria is, because we have these laws. The law is provided that anyone who has sex under the age of 14, a child cannot give consent. But then we have another law that says the constitution says that the age for maturity is 18, yeah? But it makes an exception for married women. That, okay, for example, if you get married at 12 or 13, it is presumed that you've reached the age of maturity. So when you have different laws within a space, a country, and then you don't streamline these laws, these are some of the things you get. So people are allowed to marry underage girls, and well, nobody will frown at them if they see the girl pregnant the next day, even though the law in that part of the country says otherwise. So it is presumed that once a woman is married, she has reached the age of maturity. So it's very tricky, and I wish that we'll actually have this conversation, because we can't move along with the world if we're still marrying of women at 13 and getting them pregnant, and it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Let's go on a short break. We'll be right Welcome again. In case you're just joining me, this is still Mata Africa, and still with me in the studio is Amina Amaru, and we're still discussing rape. Before we went on the break, you mentioned that one can be held liable if one has sex with a minor below the age of 14 in the north and 16 in the south. Is there any age specified in the law for marriage in Nigeria? That a certain age that a girl child should get to before consenting to marriage in Nigeria?
Okay. The Constitution, as we all know, is silent when it comes to age of marriage for women. But the Child Rights Act, which was passed in 2003, I think, provides for the age of marriage 18 years for women. And though that law has only been replicated because Nigeria runs a federal system, for a law to actually be enforced at state level, the states usually have to pass those laws. So as of the last time I checked, I think about 25 states had domesticated the Child Rights Act as laws in their territories. But the thing is, even at that level, the age of marriage was reduced in some of them. Some of them reduced to 16 and thereabout. So yeah, the Child Rights Act provides for 18 years as the minimum age of marriage. But, well, like everything else, we just go about doing what we want to do. People are still marrying underage girls, and nothing is being done about it. And don't forget that the Constitution provides that anytime the age for maturity for a married woman is, well, if a married woman, as long as somebody is married, she has attained the age of maturity. So if you are 12 and you are married off, you've attained the age of maturity according to the Constitution. So that's where we are now.
Okay. Let's talk about the marital sin now.
Okay.
There has been cases of forced sex on wives in marriage. Sometime last year, a Facebook user sent a DM to me. She mentioned her husband stripping her before her children and then raping her. And that this has been done constantly, like even when she's tired, she doesn't want sex, but the man wants to have his way. And to an extent, we've been hearing these things like men complaining is not giving it to me when I want and all that, even when these women are tired. Is there any provision in the law in regards to rape within marriage? Yes.
All our laws, all five of them, that I've read that contain provisions for rape. The criminal code in the south, the penal code in the north, the Lagos criminal laws of Lagos, the violence against persons and prohibition act. All of them are silent on marital rape. In fact, the Lagos one specifically provides that. In fact, all of them provide that marriage within sex within marriage, even when forced, is not rape. They specifically say a man cannot rape his wife. The Lagos one boldly says a man cannot rape his wife. So that is where we are. So whether a man forces his wife to have sex and all that within marriage, it is not considered rape under Nigerian law.
So it really means that even when the lady is being pressured, beaten and all that, what if you use self-defense, like you pushed him away or something, you hit him? Can that also be termed maybe will you have a say when it comes to domestic violence? Because
the worst you can do is ask that he's prosecuted for assault, But when it comes to rape, the law does not recognize marital rape in Nigeria. Just because a person is married does not remove the person's individuality. And I must say, these things are encouraged by our cultural beliefs and religious practices. Because you hear pastors and imams telling women, I don't know why they always tell women. They don't tell the men. They always tell women that even if you are sick and dying, you should sleep with your husband. It is his right. He has a right over your body. And it doesn't make sense. This is 2018. Countries are making laws. They are constantly reviewing their rape laws to include, the world is moving fast, but we're still here. Marital rape, there's nothing like marital rape under our laws. So, yeah, men are allowed to sleep with their women whenever, however, and they cannot be called to answer to that. That's what the law says.
And then considering the fact that some people have this weird sexual fantasy, like what the one we've seen cases where women complain of the men wanting anals, and where women complain that the husband only gets aroused when beaten. You have to punch, you have to bite, you have to do all those things to women. And when they run back to their parents or clerics, they tell them to either pray, or so in this cases, the only move a woman can actually make is to file for assault.
Yeah, assault. Basically, that is it. Basically, you can't accuse your husband of raping you. The law doesn't allow that. Nigerian law is silent when it comes to marital law. In fact, it specifically states in all the laws that your husband cannot rape you. So, yeah, that's what it is.
So, talking about teens and adults, how can we reduce sexual abuse among them? What are the key things, the key points to hold, like, to reduce sexual assaults rape among them? Because we've had cases where people say it's because of dressing, it's because of a particular way of life of a particular person that causes it, but still we see babies being raped. And recently, a proprietress of a popular school wrote on her Twitter handle, or is it on Instagram, that she cautioned parents to dress down their girl children.
I saw that.
These are pupils in primary schools, in nursery schools. How can we dress down children to fit into a particular mindset a man has? Because these are children. To me, I'm a woman actually, but I do not see what's so sexual about a child of 4, 5, 6, 7 years to 10 that would kind of bring out the sexual stuff in my head. So, how do we reduce sexual abuse among teens? What are the key things to do?
That question is, it's a really broad question which needs a lot of work, and I don't even know if you can reduce sexual assault, because if you see the numbers, it keeps increasing. That's the truth. Basically, the only thing you could do is to protect your children. You arm them with information on what to do, how to behave with strangers. That's the first thing you can do to your children, and to empower them to talk to you when they are treated in a particular way by adults, or if they feel uncomfortable. Encourage them, give them the confidence to leave a place when they feel uncomfortable. These are some of the things you can do. But basically, and also our laws, I always talk about our laws, the enforcement. Nigeria has some good laws, and some are still in the colonial era. They need to be brought into the 21st century. But basically, our laws are not enforced. You see a situation whereby a person is brought to the police station for raping someone, and then they'll tell you, and there's nothing they can do, or the police people there will tell you, didn't you enjoy it? I mean, these are not the ways to approach rape survivors. You don't ask them silly questions like, what were you doing there, or what were you wearing? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The survivor's actions or inactions does not matter. The fact is that the person has been violated, and that is what we should look at. So yeah, and we need a lot of sensitization around our society. Is there are some things we need to unlearn. We need to understand that when a person is raped, it is not the person's fault. It is the rapist's fault. So we have a lot of sensitization to do, and all. And the laws also need to be made very strict. They need to be enforced. The police need to be sensitized on how to treat rape survivors, and people need to be taught how to treat rape survivors and all. And I don't know if we can actually, because there'll always be that one person.
Okay, but are there penalties in the law for rapists?
Yes, there are. All the laws basically provide for life imprisonment for rape cases. The Child Rights Act, the Violence Against Persons Act, or even the Criminal Code. They provide for the maximum sentence a court can give is life sentence. So, but it is left at the discretion of the judge. You can give less. You can give 5 years. You can give 10 years. You can try to give 3 months. I've seen some ridiculous sentences. Yeah. The law provides punishment for rape. All the laws do that. But the enforcement is the problem. From the police station, how to start prosecuting until you get sent. Sometimes the cases end at the police station. Nigerians will say, we want to settle it out of court. How do you settle a crime out of court? How do you look the person that was violated in the eyes and say, I want to settle it out of court? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't really.
In cases of rape, what should be done? And are there any agencies one can visit in case one is being raped or probably assaulted or molested? Okay.
Well, the first thing to do, I always tell people, go to a hospital. It's easy to want to go home and shower and crawl under your blanket and all that when you get raped. But the most important thing to do is to get to a hospital, because without that, you may never get justice. They need to check you out and see that you're fine, and get you the treatment that you need, STIs, pregnancy, and all that, and above all, psychological help. So yeah, get to a hospital. That's the first thing. Then afterwards, you go to the police station. In Nigeria, actually, only Lagos has a well-centered rape, like an organization, the Mirabel Center. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's inside the, I think, LASU Teaching Hospital. They provide medical help and psychosocial help to rape survivors. So that's the only one of it I know that is well structured. You can also find the nearest FIDA office. They are in all 36 states plus the FCT. FIDA is Federation of Women Lawyers. They also help a lot of rape survivors. They can help liaise with the police and help push the police to do the needful. Then other human rights organizations, there are lots of them. So those ones, their uses, they help you push your case through the police, because sometimes if you let the police, they will not do anything. So those ones serve as a bridge to help the police, to make the police do what they are supposed to do. So yeah, basically that's it.
Okay. This is what we'll be calling it a day on this program, Mata Africa. My guest has been Amina Omar Niango. Thank you so much for being part of this program.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We've been discussing rape on today's episode. Join us again next week as we bring to you other interesting topics. I am Patience Ekwemili Daniels. Thank you.